Okay, we're back here live in Hadoop world, Strata plus Hadoop world. This is SiliconAngle.com's exclusive coverage, 2-day coverage of Big Data Week in New York City. I'm John Furrier, the founder of SiliconAngle.com. I'm joined with my co-host.
I'm Dave Vellante of Wikibon.org, the place where you should go to check out all the research. It's open source, free research. Hit the edit key and contribute. Work with your peers. And we're here with Abhi Mehta, who's the founder and CEO of Tresata. Abhi, good friend, welcome back.
Well, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure.
So you remember we were here at the very first Hadoop World that we had theCUBE. It was the second Hadoop World.
Yes,
and we had you on and you made all these tremendous predictions about things like the data pipeline and how Hadoop was really going to change the world and how really importantly and profound it was to bring, for instance, 5 megabytes of code to petabytes of data, and that's exactly what's happened here. All these predictions you made have come true, so we're glad to have you back, and hopefully you can make some more.
You've been part of the magic of theCUBE. Obviously you did your magic with the groundbreaking video you did with data factories, and again, it's well regarded in the industry as a seminal moment in CUBE history.
Thank you.
And want to appreciate that. And so tell us, what's new now, okay? So tell us what's happening.
Absolutely, I think first of all, it's always a pleasure to be here and make predictions with the two of you. My brief from you always, as John has been, let's be a little controversial, so that we should make our next set of predictions.
Yes,
we should
let's get into it.
Kind of do a track of what we said has come true, which is actually very refreshing. So we're seeing the emergence of what I'm now calling the 3 A's of analytics, the next 3 A's of analytics. The first one is as a service. It was very refreshing to see, and you guys covered both the events, Oracle and IBM come out and say that as a service is a business model that's not going to go away. And we are seeing that on the client side as well. I think as a service is no longer a choice or an option, it's a necessity. Because if you are in an industry vertical and you have a competitor, whether it's an emerging competitor or an existing competitor, that has zero upfront capital investment and is redoing its own data infrastructure and its infrastructure to launch new products and services, you are not only at a disadvantage, but it's going to differentiate the winners from the losers. So as a service, irrespective of which industry vertical we are in, is not a choice. It has to be done. That's the first A of the 3 A's of analytics. I think the second one is the whole concept of delivering actionable insight. I think that the two of you, as you were doing the launch, were talking about, it's all about business value. It's all about answering the question that couldn't be answered before. And I do believe it's something that I think Pat said on your show, that clients are less interested in the word Hadoop. So for 2 years we've spoken about Hadoop. I think we will see at theCUBE that people will talk less and less of Hadoop and more about the answers that are delivered using technologies like Hadoop. So it doesn't matter if you're delivering actionable insight using DB2 or Greenplum or HBase. As long as you're delivering actionable insight, which solves a massive business problem, in the back end, if a cross-sell engine is powered by Hadoop, doesn't matter. And if that means that the technology vendor or the startup company has economics that are incredibly, it doesn't matter, because you're solving a big problem. So delivering actionable insight, irrespective of the stack, is becoming the second A of analytics.
That's good news for Oracle, by the way. Uh-oh.
I think that the third thing, and I think for all the startups in the community that you see here, because I think IBM's announcement at the Big Data Conference was huge. And things that we have spoken about, big data as a service, right? It makes an interesting acronym, badass, but analytics as a service is becoming de rigueur. The last one is really our launch of our next intelligence engine. We're calling it the new AI. It's assigning intent. And it's a really big concept that people are trying to get their minds around, which is, how do you assign intent, irrespective of where data comes from? I think I'm tired of the words structured, unstructured data, and multi-structured data, and different, doesn't matter. If you have the ability through your analytics engine and platforms to assign intent at the individual level that are going to help you to influence consumer behavior, that is the next frontier. So we're launching a private beta with a very interesting project to look at SKU level information, so actual SKU level data, and attaching it against social data. So I'm a massive bull on Facebook. I don't know if people are or not, but I'm a massive bull on Facebook, because I do believe Facebook data changes fundamentally the way we drive, design, and offer products and services to consumers. So you will see us at hopefully the next CUBE at Hadoop Summit announce probably the first commercial use of Facebook data against SKU data to show how you can drive sales through Facebook. I think that whole concept of assigning intent, irrespective of source, system, format, is the future. Because I do believe social data is a really big revolution that will absolutely change how companies understand what consumers want and deliver products and services as consumer advocates, not trying to make fees of them or trying to make them pay for things that they shouldn't be paying for.
Abhi, so analytics, obviously we're seeing on our analytics package, our predictive analytics, that analytics is the top killer app. So last year at Hadoop World, Mike Olson said, hey, you know, we're going to have $100 million fund with Excel, the rise of applications.
Right.
It kind of didn't happen this year.
Right.
But what did happen is analytics. That's the killer app. What do you make of all that? Why not a lot of applications? Why the emphasis on analytics? Obviously the 3 A's are genius. What do you think, why? Is it maturing? Is it a maturing issue? Is it, or do you agree that applications haven't evolved fast enough? Or
I think the best thing I've heard in the space was some research done by the research board. And they called it the liminal moment in analytics and data. And it's an interesting thing, because it's kind of like liminal means you're at this inflection point. I think what I'm finding, Joe, and I'd love to get your perspectives, your collective perspectives, is no one really knows. We all know what the data analytics stack looks like today. It's easy to define. You got hardware, you got software, you got these tiers, you got BI. No one really knows what is the emergent big data analytics stack. Will there be middleware? Will there not be middleware? Will there be BI? Will there not be BI? So I think there's a little bit of a jostling for space in figuring out, is the apps the next big thing for big data, or is it truly analytics? It doesn't really matter if you're as a service, whether it's a question around apps or not. So I think there's a little bit of jostling to figure out, and hopefully Wikibon will write the next big emergent stack. That's the next big report. What is the emergent stack for big data?
We're working on it. I mean, my opinion is that it's early, right? So
it's early, I agree.
I think that there's a lot of innovation that has to get done on performance, reliability, some things under the hood that are the geeks are all working on. But I think analytics is the easy, low-hanging fruit, because people are getting insights that they've never had before. And this is highlighted by Tim Estey's keynote yesterday from Digital Reasoning, where he showed a graph of the data growth, and it's massively going to the moon. And then he showed a graph of human attention, and that's flat. So humans can only grok so much information, so he called this the understanding gap.
Absolutely.
And that's where analytics really, I think, plays a big part of it. So to me, I think it's natural. I think it's too early to try to predict what apps are going to be out there, because it's the cart before the horse, the chicken and the egg. But analytics, you can get insight right now. So I think that's a good sign. I don't see any negative signs. I just think that that's just a factor. Now, the stack is an interesting issue. Like, so there's a platform war going on Hadoop, in the Hadoop world. Cloudera wants to be the big data platform. They're now competing with MapR and others.
That's right. And IBM.
And IBM. Hortonworks is taking a different approach. They're more the OEM. Hey, we'll do biz dev deals with providers. So it's interesting. I see that approach both viable. One, I got to compete and win. Winner takes all. And the other one is you ingratiate and you get nested into these other platforms, Teradata, Microsoft.
And Hammerbacher talked about this a little bit yesterday on theCUBE, where we're going next in terms of, okay, how can we layer on other models, things like support vector machines, or whatever it is that you want to put on top. So there's a discussion going on around, does more data beat better models? And people talking about, and oftentimes maybe misconstruing Peter Norvig's statements about the data wins all the time. And you basically, when we first met you in theCUBE, you said, look, sampling's dead. And that's powerful, and I think people glom onto that and say, okay, sampling's dead, data beats models, so we don't need models anymore. That's not true though, right? I mean, people can do maybe more with better algorithms. So I mean, I think you're right. There's maybe other layers of the stack that relate to better modeling. Maybe it's simplified modeling.
I agree. I think the fundamental principle that bottoms-up analysis always wins always holds true. Because if you can write models that the outliers inform rather than stress, sampling is dead, and ETL is dead, because you shouldn't move. You can't afford to move data back and forth. I don't know what it means to existing players. I don't know why. The big question we ask ourselves is this: if I was to build the next generation data analytics company, what am I building it on? If it's HDFS, which I think is the right answer, that's what I build on,
let's bet on that, okay.
Let's bet on that, right? For once. Then do you need layers on top of HDFS to make a solution like mine more useful? The answer, Dave, is I don't. So what does it mean to companies who are trying to build those layers on top of HDFS? I don't know. I think that liminal moment changes rapidly, because when I've always said this, big data is not a technology opportunity. We said it together. Big data was not a $10 billion opportunity. We've said it for 2 years now. And then Gartner comes out finally after 2 years and says, well, it's a $200 billion opportunity. Well, it's bigger than that. We were talking to the head of credit cards at one of the biggest global banks. And he sits down, he looks at our solution for underwriting, and he goes, if we do this well, the payoff is not in the millions.
Yeah.
It's not in the billions.
No, keep going.
It's in the trillions.
Yeah.
Because you can redo the banking industry off of it. You can do the redo the retail industry off it. No one is writing that story. So I think I agree with you. It's a little bit early. It's a little bit unclear as to what the stack would look like. Someone needs to make a posit on what the stack should be. I think analytics is easy to gravitate towards because more data does trump better models. Here's the challenge. If I have to assign intent, that model has not been written. That's the business we're in. If I have to launch a assigning intent, so I think you'll see the word engines appear more than platforms and databases and warehouses. Because at the end of the day, it's a combination of smart people, smart algorithms, and this last component of truly democratized data on a platform that really is free. And people are used to the idea. I was talking to an investment banker, and he goes, you know, the big realization big companies are having is software is free. So if software is free, where is the money? It is what IBM is doing. I think we all are in agreement. IBM's smarter planet positioning is by far the best marketing positioning ever done in the history of technology. Because people don't ask the question, how are you making sure that electricity in a city is optimized? Well, they say, I do it. It may be magic. Don't worry how it's done.
Yeah, it's done.
I'll do it. So I think I agree also with Tim's statement. We call it the last mile of analytics because it's not about data, it's about analytics anyways, right?
Yes.
The last mile of analytics, 9/10 of the mile can be automated, John. Absolutely can be automated. But the last 1/10 cannot. So the 9/10, so machine learning, what does machine learning do? Machine learning mimics smart people and makes the machine do the work of people in a smarter way, in a repeatable way, in a scale way. So if I have to build a brand new analytics platform that works for the US population, anything it may be, whether it's Facebook for social, whether it's a bank launching a new product, whether it's a retail, Walmart trying to redo retail, I have to make machine do it because there's no way manually I can build an analytics engine, a business around people manipulating data for 250 million units. Not possible. So machine learning can automate 9/10 of the mile. And the last 1/10 comes from people. So I think that's the other issue. The data scientists, while it's a very interesting term, the people around data science don't exist yet. So our chief scientist, he's a new person. At some point, I would like to introduce him to theCUBE and to you guys. He's going to be launching I think I'm going to take the secret out, but he's going to be launching a Center for Data Science, hopefully at NYU in summer. It will be the first master's PhD program on data science. Because we are seeing customers ask us, I love it. I love the solutions. I don't have the people. I don't have the people to write the new models on all of the data. So if sampling is dead, and I'm going to write models on population, who will write it for me? That talent needs to come. It's not there yet.
So talk about your view of the current situation relative to data, because data now is being talked about as the raw materials for analytics. You mentioned that in the keynote yesterday. It said if software is eating the world, then data is the meal, right? So software is now a very key part of everything we talk about, convergent infrastructure, things on the cube we talk about. But here at big data, the data is critical. So you got bad data, you get clean data, you get good data. So data is critical. So the role of the data scientist, talk about the range of the role of the person or teams.
Absolutely.
And what's going to happen in this data market.
Absolutely. We split the world of data science in two parts, or two roles. One that is incredibly sexy and everyone wants to talk about, and another one that's very boring, but is 80% of the work. We call them data quants and modeling quants. There are enough modeling quants in the world who can use existing tools and write interesting algorithms to solve problems that we all are aware of. You can find tons of them. They all know certain tools that we don't need to talk about, and they've all been to universities and colleges. The data quant role is incredibly ill-defined, but it's the most value, which is people who have the ability, resources who have the ability, and it's kind of like it's the new data cyborg in a way. They are part physicist, they're part mechanical engineers, they're part statisticians, and then they have oodles and oodles of common sense.
Yeah.
And they can look at data and go, if I was to mash social data with SKU level data and an intent engine and bring it all together, I can change the way marketing is done in every single retailer. Or I can change the way you design a product, whether the product could be a banking product or could be a healthcare, a new medicine for medical research. That skill set is incredibly ill-defined and not available in the market. I think that's what's lacking, where the 9/10 of the mile come into play, because a data quant with the right tool set to make him more intelligent, to function with data that's growing at, I don't know what, the new word is zottabytes?
Yeah, it's
I
insane.
mean, how do you, there's no human way possible. So I think training the data quants is a very interesting problem that no one today is solving. And it is a cyborg from a skill perspective. It is physicist, statistician,
We were talking last
and
night.
mechanical
We were
engineer.
talking last night. We had a few cocktails. We were kind of riffing on some concepts, and I was saying that I equated to training a dog. There's different types of dogs. There's retrievers. And
Only you can get away by saying that, you know?
But you got to train the machines.
Right,
The
that's right.
machines
I
are
agree.
trainable.
That's
you
right.
can, and what you're talking about is training a machine to do the learning.
That's right.
And reason.
That's right.
To create that gap, because humans can't possibly get through the data.
Agreed.
So the insights have to be done by machines.
Agreed.
So all the startups that I've seen that are good are doing that.
Right.
But that's hard to do. How do you do that? How do you train a machine?
That's right. Well, I think there's also a bigger technology driver that I see you guys have done a phenomenal job of tracking. And the only way I can explain to myself is I call it the iPhoneization or the Appleization of enterprise IT. So future enterprise IT is going to go the way of the iOS and the iPhone. You're going to buy incredibly cheap hardware for almost free, like you buy an iPhone. And every 2 years you'll upgrade for almost no cost, right? Because hardware is free, storage is free. And the operating system that you run on that hardware is going to be free, because it should be. Should you pay for HDFS? No, you shouldn't. It's the iOS of data. It should be free. And then you're going to buy applications. Because when data is sitting in HDFS, why should you pay for HDFS? The distro model, I don't buy into. I love Cloudera, I love Mapper, I love Hortonworks. It's free. Come on, guys.
100% free.
Let's get over it, you know? And Rob Bearden has got a nice, clean message on it. But so the distribution is free, and what do you pay for? You pay for the apps. And some apps will be free. Could be bookkeeping, could be one of them. And some apps you'll pay money for. So I think enterprise IT goes that way.
Okay, Abhi, I got to interrupt you because we got planes stacking up, as Mark Hopkins says. Guests lining up. The airport's full here. So we have to kind of wrap up. But I want to ask you one question to end on: the vision for you and Tresata going forward. You guys are a startup. Give us a quick update and what's your next set of plans. And then
we have a new vision statement. We say Tresata has only one mission, which is we help all our customers use all of their data to get, grow, and keep their customers. So our vision is we are going to make big companies are not too big to fail. They're too big to manage. Tresata will help you manage your companies and manage your customers and build products and services that advocate your consumer needs, are not antagonistic to it.
Okay, Abhi Mehta, great to have you on theCUBE. As always, great, provocative, insightful, controversial comments.
Visionary, really terrific.
We appreciate it. The Slugfest continues here at Hadoop World. We'll be back with our next guest right after this short break.
Thank you so much.
Great to see you, man.
Always, a pleasure.
Okay.
theCUBE is this conceptual box, if you will, and we bring people inside of theCUBE, and then we share ideas.
theCUBE is a comfortable place. It's a place where people feel happy and are happy to share their knowledge with the world. And we're happy to be ambassadors of that knowledge transfer.
The problems of scale, continuous availability, and high performance associated with today's transactional systems cannot be solved with 35-year-old relational technology. New problems often require new solutions. DataStax powers real-time, mission-critical big data applications.
As long as we can get nodes, we can scale almost infinitely.
When the world's biggest retailer had issues with scalability and availability on Black Friday, they turned to DataStax. DataStax powers the app that transform business.
We're a small shop, and they're used to dealing with very large, Fortune 100 companies. Even though we're small, DataStax doesn't make me feel that way.
Massively scalable, operationally simple, continuously available. That's DataStax Enterprise.